In this week's The News, election season begins with a bang.
This government are taking New Zealand backwards.
The Emperor's new here? Those that don't learn from history are unsure how the quote ends for some reason. And spooky season costume ideas to scare your coalition-loving friends. All that and more in this week's The News. Hello there, kia ora, welcome to This Week's The News. I'm Paul, and for Halloween I'm dressing up as a real newsreader. The Labour Party has launched headfirst into the upcoming general election this week with the launch of a capital gains tax policy, which has shaken its opponents despite being widely rumoured for months. The Monday announcement was brought forward after an apparent leak to Radio New Zealand in what is known as a narrow tax that excludes family homes, personal assets, KiwiSaver and inheritance, and has been generally well received, which has resulted in a tailspin on social media from the current Finance Minister, Nicola Willis, seen here explaining how cutting the government's contributions to KiwiSaver to help pay for her almost $3 billion landlord tax breaks wasn't bad for Kiwi workers. Willis has since argued that it's a slippery slope, that despite carve-outs it will impact businesses and KiwiSaver, and that Labour leader Chris Hipkins is a liar in a flurry of social media posts reeking of desperation. Said a spokesperson for the Labour Party, "I thought the left was meant to be snowflakes who melted down at the slightest thing. Anyone would think that we were the ones who had the big property portfolios, mega landlords in our ranks, and were making hundreds of thousands in untaxed capital gains like the Prime Minister did," based on her reaction. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, seen here dressing up as Mini-Me for Halloween, has finally had his first one-on-one meeting with US President Donald Trump. While the details of the meeting specifics are being kept quiet, the topic of tariffs was not apparently raised. But golf courses were. In a photo op, the two joked about the luxurious locks the Prime Minister has, while an invite was extended for the President, currently running raids on innocent American citizens if they look too Mexican, to visit the country. Said Luxon of the meeting, "My job as Prime Minister is to do everything I can to put New Zealand in the best possible place with every world leader I can meet. And if that means ignoring our so-called tough-on-crime stance to let in a 34 times convicted felon to play golf, then so be it." History teachers have expressed disappointment in the new draft history curriculum, citing its overstuffed workload covering Eurocentric topics while downplaying the history of Aotearoa New Zealand. The NZ History Teachers Association have said it, along with other social science topics, contains more content than could be taught in a year. And while the party that has constantly argued against anything Māori unless it's their leader's whakapapa when it's convenient, act as praising the new curriculum, claiming that removing teaching of local histories that were shaped by colonial narratives and power imbalances was the rebalancing of the curriculum and less Marxist. Said Associate Education Minister David Seymour, seen here with someone from his party no longer allowed around children, "I'm proud to say these dismal, divisive and overly political big ideas are all gone." Going on to say, "We prefer to indoctrinate your kids with little ideas and not give them an understanding of procedures or context so they can't understand how the changes we make as politicians will really impact future communities." A stoush has broken out over a potential new charter school as Kelston Boys' School rejected calls from a third party to force the school to become one have been made public. The current charter school setup process and application does not require to come from a school specifically to change its status, which the group Bangers Education and Wellbeing Trust, whose website is pictured here, are currently in the process of applying to do. The charter school program, a pet project of David Seymour's, has already seen schools set up by John Key's business partner and a school set up by Jonathan Ayling, recently departed head of the Free Speech Union, that focuses on Western civilization values. Said Education Minister Erica Stanford, seen here showing that she's still with it by attempting the viral 6-7 craze. Why do so many of my headaches start with David Seymour? And his charter schools. They're his pet project. Why would you expect me as Education Minister to know anything about them? Fonterra is to move ahead with plans to sell its retail brands, including Anchor, Mainland and Kapiti, as 88% of farmer shareholders have agreed to sell the brands to French dairy giant Lactalis for $4.2 billion. Upsetting Foreign Affairs Minister Winston seen here about to reply to a tweet from the Prime Minister taking sole credit for a trade deal with the single word "we" as a correction. He's called the deal utter madness, economic self-sabotage, and an outrageous, short-sighted sugar hit. And I should know, did you see how we cancelled the ferry project by text just to pay more for smaller boats, gave tobacco companies tax breaks, and rushed through tax cuts we couldn't afford so that the poors get no real benefit from it? If you're wanting short-sighted, mad sugar-hit policies, then leave it to the professionals, Sonny Jim. A United Nations-bound report this week warns of a worsening level of racial discrimination in Aotearoa, New Zealand, driven primarily by the coalition government and its anti-Māori policies. Written by the Aotearoa Centre for Indigenous Peoples in the Law, or Te Wai Ariki, the report will be presented in tandem with reports from the New Zealand Law Society and People's Action Plan Against Racism Aotearoa, coming up in November. The reports cite law changes which have a disproportionate impact on Māori outcomes, including the Marine and Coastal Area Act, the Electoral Act Amendment, local government representation laws, 3 strikes laws, the Pai Ora Amendment Act, and the Fast Track Approvals Bill. Said Māori Development Minister Tama Pōtaka, seen here being forced to listen to anti-Māori policies from his coalition partners, "Look, we all have to make sacrifices for the coalition, and the National Party agreed that our sacrifice was Indigenous rights enshrined in Te Tiriti." Police are lauding the success of Operation Black Onyx, an international investigation and crackdown on illegal firearms after 43 people were arrested and 96 illicit weapons seized from around the country. The National Illicit Firearms Working Group, made up of police from across Australia and New Zealand, carried out Operation Black Onyx between October 13 and 19, which saw 110 charges laid, 83 warrants executed and 34 compliance visits take place. Said the Minister for Guns, Nicole McKee, seen here Googling how to make the US Constitution's Second Amendment apply to New Zealand, "I'm really glad to see the intelligence-led approach to this operation. And there's some really nice pieces they've found. I can't wait to give them a try myself." And finally, it's spooky season with Halloween coming up on Friday. So we have some costume ideas to help you really frighten coalition voters that, are a little bit scared of a few things if you need a quick costume idea. You could go as a bike lane, or a road cone, capital gains tax, a unisex bathroom, a speed bump, a woke teacher, someone doing something related to tikanga Māori, as climate change, or just wear a sign that simply says Aotearoa. Other ideas could include the concept of pay equity or even being a member of your local union. These costume ideas are sure to scare a fair few people out there. And that's it for this week's news. Don't forget, you can vote for Paul the Other One at the New Zealand Podcast Award Listeners' Choice nominations. And thanks again for all the support this week. Live long, prosper, be one with the force, and don't forget to spay and neuter your demons this weekend. Oh hey, thanks for getting to the end of the video here on Facebook. While you're here, why not hit that subscribe button so you can be kept up to date with other things that I do. Scientists tell me it'll make you 27% smarter, so why wouldn't you?